Welcome to the STONED Roadie show with Craig Reed, the most famous roadie in rock and roll history. And today is April 20th, 2022. And it's going to be the 9th podcast. And being as how we've done quite a few of these.
Number 9.
That we want to say a little something about Craig. Craig, in case you are just joining these podcasts and you want to know a little bit about Craig. Craig is a famous roadie who was with Lynyrd Skynyrd back and starting in '74, toured the world with him, and until the plane crashed October 20th, 1977. And then after that, Craig had to get his wits back about himself after the crash. And then he went to work for a lot of other bands like Marshall Tucker, Journey, Foreigner, just to name a few. And so now Craig is kind of like dumping his mind out on these podcasts and getting all this information out for people that want to know what happened back in the early 70s. And a lot of it has to do with the Lynyrd Skynyrd band. And now you're looking at Leon and Wicker, which are Craig's two little dogs. Leon, of course, named after Leon Wilkeson, the bass player at Lynyrd Skynyrd. And then Wicker is a nickname for Ronnie Van Zant, which you might want to go back to some of our other podcasts where we talk about how Ronnie got that name. So Craig, we're going to do a little bit of rapid fire question and answer session here. We got some questions that I promised that some friends on Facebook, I promised I would ask these questions. And because a lot of times I made that promise and we never did get to the questions. So we're going to go ahead and start that. Are you ready for rapid fire question answer session, Craig?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
Okay. This one is quite interesting, and I don't know if Craig's going to be able to give you all the information on this question or not. But and it looks like Chad, Craig's son, kind of answered some of it too. Scott Kennel. How did Gary Rossington make the bird sound with his SG on Freebird?
Oh man, that's a secret.
That's a big secret, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you can kind of like just
Gary kind of explains that, but you know, he one time said, I remember specifically, don't you tell anybody how to do this. This is a secret, because I, kind of put the, but yeah, he kind of uses that glass slide thing, and he has the tuning is a little weird, and he uses the same strings in a couple places, but it's mostly the guitar's tuned to a 440, but I don't know if I can talk about
it. Do you remember the first time he did that bird noise, the first time he did that? Because, he had to have come up with that little gimmick to make it add.
Well, it wasn't till, let me move this mic. It wasn't until I started doing the guitars and they explained it to me that, because I'm not a guitar player. I didn't know how he was doing it. I didn't have a clue, But then when because Gary and Alan, I became a guitar tech by accident. When they hired me, they hired me as a drum roadie. Well, they hired me as an everything guy, because I don't know what Ed King saw something in me that. I don't know what he saw. I was a mechanic, and I was kind of a street smart person. I was a salesman. I sold boats. I sold cars. I was a mechanic. And I sold other things. and you know, and then I guess he figured you know if you're a mechanic, you're applicable in you know your mind work. Well, you're a mechanic, you know. I mean, you're a rock. You Griff's the rocket scientist. Yeah, I forgot to. This is my co-star, the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. But you know what a strange combination. You know the stoned roadie
And a rocket scientist.
and the rocket scientist. Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
I'm the, you know, don't shoot the messenger, you know. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm on a mission from God, you know.
So you learned how to tune
Well,
guitar.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna, but anyways, yeah, I would, you know, I would sit me and Alan and Gary, we were all family, you know, and I would just, you know, we were close. Some of my fondest memories is when the 10 of us traveled the United States in a 10-passenger Econoline van, sleeping. One of us would be sleeping across the thing, and one of us be on the floor, and one of us be. We were just, you know, but we were riding down the road, and Leon was Billy would sit in front of him, you know, in the van, and Leon would sit behind him with lots of paper and pitch him in Billy's hair, and it'd all stick in Billy's hair, and then we would stop and Billy would get out, and he'd go like this, and a little, and Leon would say, "It little bitty wads and Billy's briar patch," you know, and he was always pitching stuff in Billy's hair because it was frizzy and it would always stick in there. Leon got a kick out of that, and Billy always had shit in his hair from Billy, from Leon sticking stuff. Those two were always at it, man. That was that time I just had Leon stuck the fire hose under Billy's door and soaked the whole floor there.
At what point in time did he wake up when that fire hose? Did he just?
Oh God,
Through his
there was so many things, man. It's hilarious, you know. I've been sitting here for, well, I didn't have internet for 3 days, you know. And then as soon as I got my internet back, I posted something on Facebook, and it lasted 1 second. Boy, I hit an algorithm, pow, and man, it nailed me. And I didn't say anything. That's what's weird, you know. It's just there's something fishy going on there.
Facebook.
But anyways, we'll drop that one. But yeah, I'm in Facebook jail again. But you know, I'm sitting here when I'm in Facebook jail, and I'm thinking of all these. For some reason, I got all these stories that are bang, 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 bang coming at me, man. And I'm just sitting there. God dang, I didn't want to do this and spend all my time at it. You know, this was supposed to be something that I just did for Facebook fans, you know, and FakeBook fans. I'm sorry, I don't want to, but and it was just supposed to be something that guy was going to interview me, and we were going to do 30-minute things, and then he edit them to 10-minute, and I went, yeah, I can do that, and then I got his mic and stuff, and then I didn't have no use for it, and then basically you and John talked me into doing a podcast, or I don't know how that all evolved, you know. You and Kathy, our friend Kathy that died, you know, she was all wanting me to do that, you know, fans want you to do it, and she's all involved with all that kind of.
Well, everybody wanted you to write a book, and then
write a book, and I didn't want to write, but gee, Merry Christmas, now I'm writing a book. I mean, I sit around here the other day when I was off, you know, the fat lady was eating ice cream and knocked my internet. All this happened. You know what? I got to talk about that too. All this, it's not just a coincidence that I'm sitting here.
Well, let's get these rapid fire.
Okay, yeah. Let's go for that. Anyway, back to the guitar thing. We never finished that. Right. So then Joe Barnes was a guitar tech. So then Chuck and I roomed with Joe Barnes basically. And so Joe Barnes, I watched him do guitars, and I watched him string them, you know, and then I watched Alan with the ruler doing intonation, and he taught me how to graphite the bridge and you know, just and I looked at it like a mechanical thing, and I learned how to do it that way, and Joe Barnes, and I just did it mechanically, and I can't play guitar. I just treated it as a machine. That's all it is. It's just really a machine, not like the money machine, just a machine, but, but, um,
So when Gary did the beginning of the Make It Sound Like a Bird, did you
yeah. He takes the slide and kind of hits it on those things and kind of hits it like, well, you can watch him do that. He goes, doo, doo, doo.
He
I mean,
must
that's
have
not a
been sitting
secret. You
around
can
one
watch
day
him
and then
do that.
said, "I'm going to make it sound like a bird," and then he
Yeah, he invented that. Gary, my God, I listened to him play I Need You the other day on that part. That guy was amazing, man. I mean, I don't listen to the music much, but sometimes when I'm outside mowing and stuff, and I'll put it on the earphones, or if I'm in my car, or something, and because I don't listen
So
to
you
radio.
really never listened to it before unless you were on stage listening
I
to
said, man, that's Gary, because I know their parts, Gary and Alan. I know all the different. I can say that's Gary, that's Alan, that's Steve, that's Ed, that's Barry Harwood, and that's Randall Hall. But yeah, I know all their parts, and I go, I forgot that, man. That's a kill. I mean, Gary, when we were during the tribute tour stuff, um, uh, Gary had all these guitar parts, man, and he'd get Tom Kiefer from Cinderella come down, and then Travis Tritt and him became real good friends, and he came down, and I would run the machines, to record their sessions, and that was, man, that was cool. It was really cool to be there. That when I was the engineer, I wore all kind of hats. It was really cool. That was a great time when we went on Travis' bus, and he had all these gold albums there. Uh, you know, uh, the quarter. What's give me a quarter? Here's a quarter. Call someone that cares. That's what it was. But yeah, this ain't been doing very good rapid fire because I'm going
okay,
off on tangents.
let's go to another one. We got
But anyways, I became after that. Joe got thrown off the plane, and that's what I want to talk about too, about Ronnie's temper and why Ricky wasn't around. But okay, that's why Ricky left, because of Ronnie's temper, and that's why Ed left, and we'll get to that one too, but we won't go there. But then Chuck got fired, and then Ronnie looked at me and says, and the Grayman left and got fired, and me and Kevin sitting there in Peter Rudge's office, and we didn't have a guitar roadie or a drum roadie, and I'd been the drum roadie at that time. I was the stage manager, and Ronnie said, "Well, I know you can do guitars or drums. Can you do guitars?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I can do that." And he goes, "Well, you do." They wanted a raise, and Ronnie, that was why they got fired.
that's why they got
Ronnie
fired. Yeah.
tripled their salary, and Chuck said $15 more. You got a deal. And said Ronnie said, "That F word, you get the hell out of there." And he said, "Anybody else?" And Raymond said, "Well, I Chuck kind of thought we'd stick together, thinking maybe Ronnie would change his mind and say, well," and he said, "Okay, you too. Anybody else?" And it's me and Kevin sitting there, and he said, "I'll give you the raise Chuck wanted, and since he's not, so I'll give Chuck the raise since he's not here. I'll give it to you, and I'll give Raymond the raise since he's here, and then I'll give you the same raise, and then you do it everything, and you get all that money." So I made some pretty good money until the end of the tour.
We're gonna have
but
to.
I was burned out. I couldn't do it
day,
anymore, so I had to hire people.
One day we're gonna have to talk about. One day we're gonna have to talk about what happened to those guys too. That's another.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff we've talked. You know what? We've talked for 4 hours, and I haven't said anything yet. I got 10, 12 pages of notes, not stories, notes to remind me of.
To you haven't said anything, but to the people.
And these last 4 days, it's been crazy. Now I'm on Facebook. Oh, it's a good thing, man. I don't need to be on there all the time wasting my time. God, I'm in there I'm flying and racing and having fun with my dogs, and I ain't thinking about on there.
Speaking of that, there's a
Okay, let's move on with the
this guy asked a question. His name is Will Fisher. Are those Cobra 2000s behind you, Craig?
Yeah, yeah. I got three of them. I got three Cobra 2000s and six speakers, and the speakers were 200 a piece. So I got $1,200 worth of Cobra speakers, some of them radios go for 1,200 a piece, 1,000 a piece. So yeah, I spent about 10 grand. I got into radios. I'm kind of an extremist, with drugs or anything, women or drugs or alcohol, anything I do, I like. I've tried everything in my life. The things I liked, I tried twice,
You got
But
that.
when Obama got to be president, I went, oh, look out now. So I went, no, not Obama, Biden. Yeah, that's when I went, oh God, now all the communications are going down. The only way we're going to be able to communicate a ham radio, and I got the local radio channels, and I got the CBs, and I can have four different CB channels going at once, and I got, I'm ready. But
Yeah, Craig's all set up whenever it all
every time, but ever since when I learned to use it, once I learned to use it, I don't have no use for it. But it's there, and I can use it if I want. But yeah, I need to get rid of a couple of those Cobra 2000. I don't need three of them.
Hey, Craig, this Will Fisher, he's got a two-part question. Okay, the next question is, out of the four guitarists Skynyrd had, which I guess there could be more technically, who, in your opinion, was the best?
They were all the best in their own rights. They all had a different style, and they all did it the best.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, they were all, man, this whole thing is just the craziest thing. Those guys, every one of them were different. Every one, Leon, Billy, totally different. Gary, totally different. Alan, Gary, totally different. Steve, totally different. Ronnie, totally different. How do you put that many people together totally different like that and come out with something like that? I mean, Billy was, I hate to say about Billy, but Billy couldn't do many things but play that piano. But that's all he did when he was a kid. I mean, his mother wanted him to be a classical piano, and that's all he did. From what I understand, he ran around with Kevin a little bit, but I don't know who he was really friends with,
And he was a roadie to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know who he hung around with, really. Like I said, he was just played piano all the time, and then he got around I think he was Jeff Carlisi, but why Jeff didn't know he was a piano player, because Kevin was a piano player too. Kevin played organ and a Red Rooster or something, Kevin Elson was a musician and they all played around Jacksonville, Randall Hall and Barry Harwood and Joe Cramp, my God.
Yeah, Joe Cramp.
And all those guys were just, and Larry Steele played bass with, he was a roadie for 38, and he was a bass player for Skynyrd for a little bit, and I guess at one time he thought he was going to be the bass player for Lynyrd Skynyrd after Larry Junstrom, and I don't know, I guess Ronnie didn't like the way he played, and and Leon was there, and then Leon quit, and Larry came in, and then Leon come back, and for some reason Larry said he couldn't make a living. He had to feed his family, and he had to quit Skynyrd, and then Bob had to quit and went away, and then Ricky came, and was the drummer for a couple years, and then Bob come back, I guess, and then they both drummed for a little bit, and then I don't think Ricky would put up with Ronnie just like Ed wouldn't, and that's why he left. But Ricky was there when White Dove was written, and Ricky's an original member as far as I'm concerned, and so is Johnny. If Ronnie were here, he wouldn't be singing. Johnny would. I've told you about my experience. That's what happened. But we won't go there now. But okay, we got any more questions or whatever?
Yeah, okay. Here's one. Who was the best band? This is from Frankie Turner. Who was the best band in your opinion? Because this is your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's the name of this show. Stone Roadie, in my opinion.
The best band in your opinion that opened for Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Charlie Daniels, Marshall Tucker. Lynyrd Skynyrd opened up. Marshall Tucker was big back when Skynyrd started. They headlined over everybody. Everybody.
And they
Tom
opened
Petty. Skynyrd played under Marshall Tucker tons of times, But then it got to where Marshall Tucker played under Skynyrd, and then Charlie Daniels played under Skynyrd, and I can't remember if Skynyrd headlined over Jay Giles, or that was pretty good. Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent's got to be the best band that opened. Well, AC/DC, Journey, not Journey in the beginning opened for Skynyrd. When they were the fusion, even the new. I don't know about that one. The New Journey, I don't know. But when they were a fusion band without Steve Perry, they opened for Skynyrd. But then I don't think Journey didn't open for Skynyrd. They did when they were a fusion band. Sammy Hagar, the Red, Skynyrd played with everybody.
I guess there's a lot of people that opened up for Skynyrd that weren't quite big yet, and then
the question was who did Skynyrd open up for in the early days that they just blew off a stage till the point that nobody wanted to play with them. They were scared. Led Zeppelin was scared to play with Lynyrd Skynyrd, from what I heard. In my opinion.
Yeah,
I heard that they didn't want to.
We got a question from Billy Irvine. Any plans to include Artimus as a call-in guest?
Oh, that'd be great, man. That'd be super. It really would. Yeah, it's up to Artimus. He knows how to get a hold of us if he wants to do it, but I don't know if he wants to do anything this. I don't know.
That might
be he's welcome.
Later. Yeah,
I'd like that. Anybody that's a survivor of that plane, man, just let us know, man. Shit, Now
here's a friend of ours, a Jimmy Withers. Jimmy Withers, he's a character.
That guy, he posted a picture the other day when he like this, and I went, "Good God, what?" And you said, "Oh, he does that on a damn app."
Yeah,
man,
right.
What the hell? What the hell's he been eating?
Yeah, he wanted to. He says, "I'd like to hear the true story about what happened with the guest at the hotel from the song 'What's Your Name?'"
All I remember is just got back from the gig, going in from loadout, and I was, went by the bar to see what was going on, if it was worth going back down there for, and I get down there and Ronnie's coming out, and he's got from what I don't remember how this is possible, how he could come out of the bar with a bottle of whiskey, but that's what I remember he had a bottle in one hand and a woman arm around some woman, and he just stuck $200 in my shirt pocket, and he said that guy over there is messing with me. He said, I ain't got time. I'm busy, but he ain't gonna get away with that shit. Here's $200. Go take care of my light work. I'm busy. I ain't got time. So I went over there and just started some shit with the guy, and he kind of got froggy, and I just just kind of laid him out, It didn't take, and I don't remember if he was trying to get up or getting up, but next thing I know, I was accosted by a bunch of people, and they throwed us all out. I guess there was a little confrontation between. I guess he had some friends, or I don't know. It was the same kind of thing that happened to Germany. That the thing in Germany at that place, But yeah, they throwed us all out, and I think it was in North Carolina. I think that's where ARTIMUS said we were, because I don't remember where we were. It just those places. But yeah, Gary did an interview, and they said, "What about this song? What's your name, Gary? What happened there?" And Gary said, they were not mentioning any names, and they said. Gary said, well, one of our roadies, Craig Reed, and they started laughing. Yeah, not mentioning any names. What, Craig Reed? Yeah, Craig Reed, he was one of our roadies, and he got in a fight in the bar with one of the guests down there, and they figured we was all a bunch of long-haired rednecks, so they throwed us all out, But, yeah, that's kind of it.
Wasn't it true, Craig? Wasn't it true? And I know you've told me this, that you'd be in your room asleep, and Ronnie'd be down starting shit with people down in the bar, and then they would gang up on him, and he would go up and he'd wake you up, knock on your door, and say,
"Oh man," he'd always go down in the bar and by himself and start shit with about 6 guys, and then walk out banging on my door drunk. Do I have a friend? I go to, what's wrong, Ronnie? Guy's down in a bar messing with me. I goes, well, how many of them is there? I don't know, 4 or 6. I don't know. We'll probably get our asses beat, but they'll know they've been in a fight, I'm going, damn, Ronnie, you got to do it. Yeah, goddamn, ain't gonna mess with me, Are you my friend or not? Well, let me get Raymond. Raymond, he was always drunk, and I come on, Raymond, get up, He wasn't no help. At least he'd keep a couple of us off of him, and we always won, But and I never got beat up, and neither did Ronnie. So, but I don't remember much about him because we were always fighting. I was always fighting in high school. My kid Chad, he's always fighting, but his hands are all busted up from beating
his
people
nose.
up.
He pushed his nose into his skull.
I never busted my hands up hitting people, but I don't know.
That's what this Steve Sparron says. Who started the fight in San Francisco on the bus where Ronnie?
You know what?
You weren't there for that.
I wasn't there. Me and Dean. That's interesting. How long we've been doing this?
You just halfway into it now.
Okay. We went to San Francisco. Me and Dean were down in the Miyako at the Japanese hotel, and we're down there, and Dean's teaching me how to eat soup in front of rich women. You dip it this way, away from you, Because, you know, if you want to pick up rich women, you know, you do that and they'll know you got class or whatever. So we're down there and he's showing me how to eat soup. Dean's real sophisticated. He's another one that was totally opposite from anybody. You know, Dean, man, he was, you know, when they hired me, we got to get back to the Miyaga. When they hired me, they had gotten rid of Dean and they needed another person like Dean. And that, I guess I kind of filled that position because when I started, they'd send me out in the bar, in the crowd, or maybe they didn't send me. Maybe it was just my idea. Probably, yeah, it was just my idea to go out there and pick up chicks and drugs and bring them backstage. So that's what I did. And I was good at it too.
That's why you always had to say, "What's your name, little girl?"
Oh God, yeah, I'd forget their name. What was your name again? You know, but yeah, that was it. But what? Back to that question.
Yeah, on the bus in San Francisco, you know.
Oh yeah, me and Dean, we were down there and we're eating dinner or soup or whatever, I don't know. But the detectives come up to our table and ask us if we'd seen the woman, the redheaded that was involved in the robberies, Hearst, Patricia
Patty
Hearst.
Hearst. Yeah,
Patty Hearst. Yeah, that was. Have you seen her around here? They were looking for her.
Hanging around with you guys.
No, she wouldn't hang around. No, but they were looking for her. And then me and Dean, we were friends, you know. We said, man, we're not gonna go out to another bar with those guys tonight. Let's go out by ourselves in San Francisco. So me and Dean went around juking on our own around San Francisco, and all them guys went to a bar. You know, you get tired of that, you know, going to the bar and playing that rock thing. You know, you want to go see, you know, I don't know, being around that kind of, you know, it gets. I don't know. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you just want to go do something else, you know, where you're not around that stuff. So that's what me and Dean did. And then we got back to the hotel and we heard about the ruckus, you know. But I guess that Billy or Alan, one of those two, got into it with somebody in the parking lot, and Ronnie went out there, you know, kind of loaded, you know, Mr. Golden Glove champion, not, you know, and got into it with the Golden Glove champion of San Francisco, and the guy was hitting Ronnie in the head faster than Ronnie, putting knots on Ronnie's head faster than he could rub them. He had big black eyes, man, and I was in the bunk under him, and I'd get up and I'd look at Ronnie, and he had these big purple damn eyes, and they were shiny like you just rub them with Vaseline. And he would go out and do gigs, and he would put sunglasses on, and then at the end of the show he'd take those sunglasses off in the front row and look at the people, and people go, oh. That's hilarious. Yeah, those pictures with Ronnie with his sunglasses on. That's when he got his ass beat. He got whipped up bad. Ronnie wasn't a very good boxer. He had a reputation like the gunfighter that started the reputation that he was the fastest gun in the West, but he wasn't. He just
you told me he liked to bite people. You know.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. You didn't want to. That's Ronnie was mean.
Yeah, and Chad told me he said he was.
Yeah, he gets something. Yeah, you're fighting. If you're fighting with Ronnie, if he got something in his mouth that belonged to you, it was his. So you didn't, even to fight him, you were going to lose. Even if you won, you were going to lose worse than he did, because he was going to take something of yours with him. Yeah, he was a dirty fighter, man.
Yeah, I guess.
But you do, you know, it's like his attitude toward being a rock star. You do what you do to win, you know.
Yeah.
Anything you got to do, you do it to win, to get what you got to get.
Well, I think that's going to do it for the questions. Did you want to break out into song or anything, Craig? Or
now, how long we've been doing this? I want to.
You got about 10 minutes left.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm on a mission from God here. You know, I want to make that straight. And I mean, that's what I feel like. I feel like everything I've done toward Lynyrd Skynyrd has been just kind of been predestined, and it seems like every kind of thing is just set up that way. I mean, even as much as, like I was telling Griff, you know, Mike Estes called me today because I called him, and I wanted to know if he had a picture of him when Alan was showing him Freebird, you know, because I introduced Mike. He come down. I goes to the studio in Roston and Collins, and I answers the phone. Roston and Collins band. It was because I had an office down there, you know, and I didn't really have a place I was hanging around, or you know, I had an apartment down there, but I would hang around down there at the studio, you know, and people would stop by there, and you know, I had a TV, I had everything down there. I had an office and TV, you know, and stuff, and I'd take Chad down there, and we'd hang out, and he'd go back and play drums or whatever, you know, and I was there one night, and the phone rang, and I said, Roston and Collins, and Mike Estes is on, 16 years old. So I says, he says, man, cool. I can't believe I'm talking to somebody. And then he found out I was with Lynyrd Skynyrd. Oh man. So then he came down to meet me, and I took him out, him and Steve Traum took him out to eat and stuff, and took him out to Alan's house. I think that, yeah, there was even a rehearsal going on. And I said, don't say nothing, you know, and you're not supposed to be here in the control room. But Alan could see through the window, you know, and he knew somebody was in there, and he came in, and I said, oh, this is a friend of mine, you know, and he says, and Alan at that time was into the boxing gloves. He wanted to box with everybody. So he told Mike he could hang around if he boxed with him, you know, and that was when Alan had his damn neck broke, you know. See, he's out there with Mike Estes out there boxing with his childhood hero. You know, how would any of you guys feel putting gloves on with Alan that has a broke neck, and you know you can't, you know? But Alan, he didn't box. He was a whirlwind, man. He just come at you like this, you know. You didn't stand it. You were just ducking his bodies. But Mike, he hit Mike a couple of times. Mike just went pop. You know, popped him. But it was funny. But then Alan, that's what I was saying about Alan, man. If he was alive today and watching these kids emulate him, you know, he showed Mike Freebird, you know, and I got pictures of it, you know, and it's really cool. But, you know, I'm the one that got Mike involved, you know. If it wasn't for me, I don't want to take any credit for it, but Mike says it's true too, that if I wouldn't have got him into that scene, he would still be in Hamilton, Ohio, doing whatever he was doing. Like, his dad was successful, you know, so he would be, I mean, he would be doing something. He wouldn't be flipping burgers or nothing like maybe Alan or whatever, be still selling flowers. I don't know, not really, but you know, Mike, you know, he was, you know, you know, he'd still be doing it, but he wanted to play music, but through me. And then what was weird was how Mike got with the tribute band, and then I'm the one that kind of, him and Ed King became friends, good friends. And then it's weird, that's weird, because Ed hired me, and then I became friends with Mike, not anywhere near Ed, and then Ed and Mike became friends. So if I would have never Ed brought me into the picture, and then I met Mike, and then Ed met Mike. It's like we all kind of are together for a reason, but every one of us is totally different. You know, that's what's weird. But okay, what's the next? Oh, do we have? No, but anyways, I was going on. Yeah. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. This is why it's really weird because yesterday, I get thrown off Facebook all the time for what they say, shaming people for what they do. I've been through what I've been through, and alcoholism and drug abuse, and I never was really not much into cigarettes, but I smoked them. But if I would have gotten $1 million out of that airplane crash, like we all should have done, I'd be dead. I'd have killed myself. The money that I had, because this band made me famous. I mean, if it wasn't for this band, I wouldn't hold the title of world's most famous roadie, which I installed myself in. But what's weird is nobody's come after me for the title, so I must have some reason to have it. But anyways, so something's telling me to use this little bit of fame I have to share my knowledge of my road through life with others that are having problems the same that I did. Like, how did I lose 80 pounds at 65 years old? And why do I still care about the way my health at 71? And why am I doing this? And I'm going, God, you only have one life, And then recently, I did a little experiment with not a little experiment, a lot of experiment with psychedelic mushrooms. And I wrote a little piece on Facebook to see how that would play on Facebook. And it didn't seem to go too well because everybody, they kind of, when you start talking about that, people think you're crazy, which, I can relate to. Like Griff, I talked to him about aliens, and he's a rocket scientist, and you'd figured he'd admit that there is some. He said, but I've never seen one, so but he'll sit here and listen to me talk about my you might want to call it, okay, we'll just call it a dream that I had while I was doing mushrooms, that there's another there's another alternate universe.
Kind of like A Man Called Horse. Remember that movie?
There's an alternate universe that kind of people kind of talk about that might exist, where you might be here and there might be another one over here that the same thing's going on, but that's a different scenario. And then it's like there's another one over here maybe, and it's like the aliens got us like a bunch of ant farms, and they're just looking down of us and see how, like it's just a lot of, we'll do the same scenario, but we'll make it same incident but different scenarios and see how it works out. It's like they're just watching us and laughing. We're their cable TV. It's live stupid humans, But I took this little dream over to our alternate universe, and it's weird because everything that's happened with that the situation where everybody got hurt, people say, I wonder what happened if that lead singer would have lived, or the other people that if they would have, what would have happened. Well, in that other universe, that other reality, that nobody dies, the incident still happens where people got hurt, but nobody dies and things move on. But people like Paul Welsh and Mark Howard, who are suffering from different
Injuries.
situations that have affected their lives for the last 50 years. You could basically say their lives was ruined because there was a scenario going on that who was at fault for the incident. And you always got to look at the top for something like that. And it wasn't, in my opinion, passed down to some person that got blamed for it, that took everything out of their name because they were feared of being blamed for that, and put it in their relative's name, and then their relative took advantage of them and stole everything from them, and then this person got in their car in their garage and hooked up a pipe to the exhaust and put it in the car and didn't want to live no more because their life was ruined because there wasn't enough. Nobody thought to have, although the plant that blew up and injured everybody didn't have enough insurance to cover everybody, but the people that owned the plant should have had coverage. Well, you know what I'm saying. It's like if you have auto insurance, and the person that hits you doesn't have insurance, you have insurance to cover that, which in that situation over there, the people got hurt. They're not suffering now. They're taken care of, and people like Gene Odom, who was pulled off of his job site at a very secure position, and somebody told him to come over to our company because I'll make you a millionaire. And then a year and a half later, that person dies, and his company goes on to make lots of money, but Gene is not doing so good, and I don't believe that the person who promised to make him a millionaire would be very happy that Gene's suffering like he is, along with Leslie, and seems like somebody could fix this situation. That's what happens in my dream. That's what happens. So that's just a fantasy, but it's kind of the difference between, well, what we're doing here is we're in the middle of a religious war, I believe, between good and evil. It seems like the third dimension is pretty evil, and the other, well, you use the fourth dimension. I'm kind of confused about this because it's just a dream and it's a fantasy, but it's kind of an interesting. People ask me what would it be like if those people would be alive, and it's kind of like, the reason I'm putting it together like this is because I've kind of seen what the other side is. I don't have to think, gee, I wonder what would happen, because I'd rather use the source that I'm using, my dream source. You know what? And I don't have a dog in this fight, because, like I said, if I'd have got a lot of money, I'd be dead. But that's not the situation. I mean, I'm not rich, but I've been retired for a long time, and it hurts me that people like Gene are going through what he's going through, and I think it could be remedied. But that's in my dream. It's not reality. So, but that's about what I wanted to say, and I don't know, for some, that's why I say I'm on a mission from God. It's like I don't feel like I have a choice in saying what I'm saying. I feel like somebody is telling me to say all this. And I think I've said enough. So,
well, you want to grab your theme clicker?
So,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't believe he would approve of any of this. But this is just a fantasy, I'm not, so,
well, this is
that's about it.
Number 9.
Peace and be healthy, man.
See you next time.
Huh?
See you next time.
Yeah, be healthy. And, if we lost any of it at the end of this because we weren't talking about the subject you wanted to talk about, I'm sorry you don't want to live your life to the fullest. And we'll call that a wrap.
It's a wrap.